Good afternoon to everyone, and I'm super happy to present today the first live AMA by Scaleswap to welcome our flagship IDO project, Cirus Foundation, which really has a very big mission to bring the ownership economy back, data ownership economy back to the user's hands. And we have here Daniel Blanda from Washington, DC. Hi, Daniel.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much for joining us today. We also have from Cirus Foundation team, Michael Luckhoo. Hi, Michael.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
Thanks for having us. We're all here in Toronto, and we're excited to be here.
And actually, Michael is in Toronto with the rest of the team, including David Brown and Mike Miclea.
How's it going? A lot of mics on our team.
A lot of mics, yeah. We have a proverb that you have, if you have two mics or two similar names, you should be in between and get the wish, yeah, and the wish will come true. So, and of course, we have amazing Stan Stolberg, who is CTO at Scaleswap here.
Hi Nelly, hi all.
Hi Stan. So guys, you know that your IDO is the most anticipated one, I would say, this August, and there are a lot of expectations because you're not a usual, not a typical, let's say, project for the IDO space. Cirus has really a very, very large technological part, a very big vision, and quite a larger and very professional team. And we love a lot of aspects here, and that is why we, let's say, married together between Scaleswap and Cirus. But the first question is actually to let you present on your own words. Can you please introduce our community to Cirus and Cirus to our community? Can you explain with your own words what you are building and why you are doing this?
Great, let Daniel kick it off.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Nelly. Stan, we're just very excited to be here and to be the sort of the flagship for Scaleswap. The IDO is it's an honor for us to do that, and we're super excited to bring Cirus or Cirus. We have different ways to pronounce it, but the Cirus Foundation is all about empowering the ownership economy and letting you, the owners of the data, really for the very first time control that, own that data, and we do that through a very unique way. Obviously, blockchain is a major part of technically how we do all this, but the reality of it is that we think big data is broken. We think that big data and the trillion-dollar industry that has become big data over the years, they left off one important part. They left off us, the people who actually create the data. So we want to change that. And we have some very exciting ideas on how we're going to change that. But really the key is to give the power back to the owners of the data. You know, when we look at how you build companies and how you roll things out, the key is how do you find the audience? And we believe that the crypto community that you guys are a part of, that we're now getting a part of, is really the catalyst and will be the ones that drive this revolution. So we're very excited to merge our thesis of the ownership economy and the thesis of crypto, which is all about decentralization, all about power to the people. So maybe Michael and the boys over there in Toronto, and I'm actually in Washington State. I'm not in DC yet. That's our nation's capital. I'm out here though in the west coast of America, and yeah. So just to give you a little insight there. But guys in Toronto who are my brothers, you know, I love these guys. They're great, and maybe Mikey or Michael or David could expound on or expand on what we're all about.
I appreciate that. We're one big family here at Cirus, as you can see. Yeah, yeah,
We
it's
don't
great.
look like twins, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, basically,
Yeah.
yes.
We definitely do. That's right. Yeah, it's really a powerful thing. Exactly what Daniel said. Empowering the ownership economy comes by allowing people to create value for themselves, to own that, to allow them to set the permissions and the rules. And that's what blockchain is always about. It's about transparency. It's about auditability. It's about value exchange. And what better way to do that than the data, right? Because data is one of the biggest, largest, we think, digital assets that's kind of gone unknown to a lot of people. In the digital world that we're looking at right now, we've seen a huge transformation over the past year and a half, especially through the COVID era. So we've entered into a digital era. We fast tracked that. And so we think this is actually the perfect time to allow people not just to access this data and control this asset, but to now invite them in to the digital economy. And that is crypto, because that opens up a whole new window of opportunity. We have decentralized finance, which took off over the period of last year, and there's so much more room to grow. We have other areas such as NFTs that have now allowed the owners and the creators to create real value exchange out of things that they could do just from their own home. So we know this is the perfect time from the crypto aspect and the blockchain aspect to match this with giving people back the ownership of their rights of data. So that's really what we want to build here at Cirus, because we're a people first concept. We want to make sure that we can invite in everybody from every layer. That's why we're starting at the network layer, which we can talk about a little bit more on this call. But it's really exciting. I think that timing is what is really key here. And I think it's about time as well.
Thank you guys for this brief introduction. And what I really like in Cirus is that you actually try to bring in reality the idea, which I remember was circulating since the start of all the blockchain movement, when everyone was talking that it is not fair that big corporates like Google, Facebook, and others, they are using our data, they are selling it, they are monetizing it and earn billions on this, while users have no rights at all. And we don't even have rights if we use Google Chrome browser to hide anything about ourselves and keep our data private. But the question is, the idea was circulating in the minds all these years in the community, and everyone is dreaming that one day it will be here. But can you tell why Cirus will be the one who will actually bring it in the reality on the market?
Yeah, it's a great question, Ellie, and it's one that really you have to look at it from a from perspective of building a business. And the great idea, but how do you reduce that to practice? How do you actually build a company? And one of the challenges we look at it from a perspective of building a big data platform. So our idea is to build this big data platform. Forget about if you apply blockchain or put in the crypto world. Let's just remove that equation out of the equation for a moment. And if we understand that to build a big data platform, it costs a lot of money. Traditionally, it's a very, very expensive process. And one of the comps that we look at is Snapchat. You know, they went out at a public valuation of 30 or 40 billion, 125 million users, which is great, which is fantastic. But they lost $700 million in the process to do that. So we looked at that model and said, well, that just doesn't work for us. So what we focused on was mass adoption. Mass adoption onto our platform really is key to our entire thesis. And so we've done that through a very innovative way in our minds, in aligning with emerging market ISPs and contracting with them to provide routers to their users. So that gives us a baked-in adoption or a user base that is coming to the big data platform, the Cirus big data platform, in a very exciting way. Now, if you dovetail that with the crypto community, and the idea that for us to actually do that technically, if we wanted to pay every one of those homeowners for their data, how would you physically do that? How would you technically do that? Well, the best way to do it is through distributed ledger technology or blockchain, which is a perfect fit for the crypto adoption that is happening around the world in all these different ways that you can utilize crypto. So we think that merging those two, that at Cirus, we have a way to bring mass adoption to our platform. and also a mass adoption to our platform that will bring new users to crypto, which is very exciting. So not only are we going to bring millions of people onto our platform through our ISP relationships, but we also will be doing that with the crypto verse as well. So combining those two is unique. We're excited about that, and that really goes to the thesis of our whole strategy, is bringing mass adoption to our platform in a way that will provide relevance to Cirus. And the more users we have, the bigger we become. The more value we create.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much, Daniel, guys, for this explanation. I have another question in mind, and maybe I'm sure you heard this question a lot of times, but could you please explain what is the main difference, for example, to Brave, to basic attraction token? Because the idea of sharing economy is similar, right? But I think there is something different.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I'm gonna throw that over to the guys in Toronto, because I know these guys are just itching to say something, and I'm dominating the conversation, but I don't like to do. So boys, take over.
To our head of tokenomics and research here, David.
Sure. Well, it basically comes down to it's an internal concept that we have called block versus unlock, where if we back up to the problem with big data and why it's considered broken, is that on most Web 2.0 platforms, you have to give your data away for free, right? It's being token, it's being farmed, and the end result of that is people don't like it. It's if my options are give it away for free or find a way to keep all my data private, the only reasonable answer is, okay, I'm going to keep it private, right? This is something, it's mine or whatever. I don't want you to take my stuff. Cirus sort of when it comes to that, we are the third option. So that, we ask the question, what if there was an additional option? What if you could own your data and earn directly from it instead? All of a sudden, you're no longer a user of a Web 2.0 platform, you're a participant, because you have options, you have control, you are able to decide, what do I want to share, what do I want to keep private, and then you're earning directly from it, right? That's Web 3.0. Right, that inclusion, that participation. And then what we tie into that is the ability to take that value into decentralized finance, into network support, and actually leverage all the benefits that cryptocurrencies bring, that blockchain brings. So we're kind of taking the Web3 philosophy here and just giving a third option. For some people, they would want to keep their data completely private, and that's totally fine. But we are putting another option on the table, saying, okay, well, what if we paid, you were able to earn from it directly instead? And we're thinking a lot of people might go with that, and you plug in on top of that the ability to then take that value and I'd say increase or recommit it or reinvest it into DeFi. And we think that's going to be a popular option going forward.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think that's exactly it. The difference here, and it's kind of the core thesis with Cirus, is to not change people's learned behavior, right? We don't want to change the way they do things. We want to help them with a higher level of user experience. So when you consider Brave, you have to learn a new process. You have to download something new. To Daniel's point about mass adoption, we actually reinsert a Wi-Fi router into someone's home, replacing an existing hardware that's already in someone's home that they already use. And so they don't have to change anything. They actually just have something that is already inherent to their house. So that's our first step of the onboarding process, because that's a very easy, seamless entry point. So while they do that, they can now evolve into the system. They can actually do something that they could surf the web. They could use all their devices in their house. They can collect all that as high quality digital assets. We call that richest first party data. And so that allows them to earn even more. But the great part about this, and that's why we talk about, can we build millions of people on the system? The question is absolutely yes, because we don't have to change learned behavior. And this is something that at crypto and blockchain, we have inhibited people from learning. We have made it harder for people. We've made it clunky. And so we want to take that friction away. We want to invite something new with this technology and make it just simple. So, yeah. And just as a joke that I use internally is like I use my mom as like our target market. I'm like, if she understands it, it means the whole world will understand it. So that's kind of how we approach it too, just as simple as possible.
That's perfect,
Wow.
actually. Yeah, explain like
Very good.
5, yeah, something like that, or explain to your mom how to use it. So everyone, shortly, once Cirus will be on the market, can receive for free your router, Wi-Fi router at home, switch it on, gone to internet, and without complicating MetaMasks and all complicated stuff, just connect to the internet and start using it, monetizing the data, right?
Yeah,
Yes, that's right.
This was exactly the point what I want. What I expected or I wanted to hear from you, because what I think is very thrilling about Cirus is the connection between hardware and software and blockchain technology. So you have a different approach, for example, from the Brave browser, right? You're using hardware what you don't need really to be configured every time. You do this one time, you connect, and then you start earning, right?
Yes, it's a plug and play philosophy. The idea is it is passive. You plug it in, set it up once, and just carry on living your life.
And I think
Great.
another piece of that is whether or not you have your hands on the device yet, we're working on a solution that will enable people worldwide to participate right away, which will be a virtual client, and it's going to be very powerful, and it'll open the door to people to join even before they get their hands on a device. So very exciting.
Yeah, and that's really, that's very exciting. And we looked at this from the standpoint of how do we engage with the crypto community immediately. The hardware solution, which working with the ISPs around the world, is a great way to establish mass adoption. But if you're sitting somewhere in the world where we're not working with ISPs, how do you get onto our platform? And really, this is all about the platform adoption. And the platform adoption is really the back end and how the data monetization model works. That's really, when you talk about a big data platform, it's really software. It's really all in a platform, right? So for our standpoint, it's like, okay, so let's engage with the crypto community immediately, and stay tuned. We're going to be having a lot of information about what Mikey just said about how the existing crypto community can embrace and adopt and get onto our platform right away. And then eventually they'll be able to get a hardware, but in the meantime, they'll still be able to earn, they'll still be able to participate, and the data monetization can really have an impact on your life in ways that when you talk about passive income, it's like, well, yeah, what do we do with that passive income? We're coming up with strategies to really very succinctly show how you can really earn a substantial amount of money with your passive income.
Oh, great. Then let me just ask a few clarification questions, which I see in our live chat on YouTube right now. So Dragos is asking, how can we receive a Cirus device all around the world? How much cost the device is, and is it like a minoring device? So Dragos, we already told that the device, the router, will be for free, but the rest will be answered by the team.
Great. I don't know if I could want me to do it. Yeah. So we have right now a two-pronged approach. So we have our first focus is really working with the emerging market, in specific internet service providers across the world. We actually fulfill router replacements with these ISP contracts. We'll be announcing this in the coming weeks. They're major contracts. This is our first goal. And this is a top-down approach because the ISPs actually help us educate the consumers. They help us do the installs, takes that workload off of us. We'll be offering a direct-to-consumer line later on. That will be a premium version. So that will be available for everybody globally. They'll be able to purchase the device. They'll be able to lock it into their home. And that will also have a mining functionality as well that'll actually secure the blockchain. So it'll act as a validator or a more of a robust based on what we're building in version 2 of the actual hardware. So that will be available for people worldwide. The Cirus platform, like what Daniel said as well, will be something that you could just download and you could attach it directly to your web browser. That will still allow you to earn off the system, allow you to reinsert that value back into the network. And when the hardware comes, you will supercharge it. So essentially that will increase your value earning all across the board. So the point to your point, we have the two versions. One will be going directly for ISPs, which is our first goal because that's how we create mass adoption. And the second one will be direct to consumer, and that will be a premium version that will have mining functionality similar to what you see with Helium. You can obviously see that Helium has created some good traction in the industry. We intend to category, and we'll be able to include mining functionality as well.
And people are also asking when they will be able to receive the device. So you see, you already have pre-order.
I'll get a sign-up list going or something. Yeah. Well, we're developing our tokenomics especially so that people can start with the Cirus platform. They can stake their Cirus, and then they can save their spot to get the hardware. We're actually working on the mapping of how the tokens will actually invite them in to get a hardware for free. So we'll be working on that. The next 6 months will be pivotal in creating that. And I think at the later part of the 6 month, that direct to consumer line will be able to come out. Our first goal, like I said, is with ISP providers, but you could expect within before end of year that you'll be able to pre-orders.
Wow, that could be a great gift for the Christmas for all the members.
Right? Really?
That
so you really guys expect? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Stan.
No, you really expect the hardware to be released this year still with the platform. Yes, this is cool.
We in fact have devices already testing. We're sandbox testing 4,000 devices right now. So we're working on a version 1.5, I would say, as the new device, and then a version 2 will come out later, which will have mining functionalities as well. So yeah, absolutely, we're already in a testing environment. We're already able to understand the data asset that we're actually connected to, and what that is worth in the market. So we've done a lot of intelligence. It's over 2.5 years in the making. And so the team in India, led by Daniel and his commercial arm as well, they've done some tremendous things. And this is not just something out of the box today. This is something that's been building for quite some time.
Yeah, in fact, in India, our co-founder, Samartha Nagabhashanam, is leading a team in India with Vamsi as our CTO, really sharp guys, and Samartha, technologist that has had a very successful career in telecommunications and in AI and in big data. So we're really, there's a lot behind the scenes that we've been working on for quite a while that I think once people understand the entire team and the depth of the team, they're going to be very impressed. And we're going to be making announcements on bringing on advisors and groups of people that I think people will be amazed at who we're bringing on to Cirus.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting, especially for me, because I'm former physicist and also engineer in the hardware space, and I know that you work, or you on the Cirus, you are working for this router for many years. So it's not like something what you designed for 2 days. I know it has a long story of development, right? So
yeah, and that's right.
And more.
Yeah, it's been a while, and I think that the key point to this discussion is that our strategy is changing big data from the fundamental point of big data. So whether you express it in through crypto or not, the bottom line is that there needs to be a change in big data. It's $1 trillion industry. It's controlled by very few oligarchs, as I call them. And if data is a new oil, let's go right after that. And that's what that is, right? So, and that's okay. Yeah, and so, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, you got to do something that no one else is doing. And we looked at big data, and God bless all the oligarchs. If we could have done that, great, but someone else did it. So what we have to do is look at, well, where are the opportunities? And the opportunities is that the big miss in big data is that they didn't bring along the people that created the data. So that's just natural. That's just something that if you think about a commodity or any of those things, the person that creates it should be paid. And so we've been working on this a long time, Stan, from a hardware perspective and from a business development perspective. But frankly, what was the missing piece? The missing piece was, from a technical standpoint, is we needed blockchain to be able to efficiently pay each individual separately. So that's actually a very organic use case for blockchain. I talk to a lot of guys that I've got into blockchain. I go to these conferences and I talk with guys, and they they come up with these different things and like, well, what's the application? What's the use case? And they don't really have one. And it's kind of, you scratch your head and say, okay. But in our case, fundamentally, we can't do our business without blockchain. And so if you think about it from that perspective, this is a really good way to take blockchain and bring in a revolution to the internet. The revolution that began with the internet was great, fantastic, but there has to be an evolution. And so from our perspective, we think the way to evolve big data is to give that power back to the owner of the data. And quite frankly, we talk about decentralization versus centralized. Well, we're the first ones really truly doing this. And in doing so, people say, well, you guys are gonna be this big centralized. No. What we're doing is the foundational start of decentralization. 3 or 4 years from now, there'll be 100 companies doing this. Not as well as Cirus, that we hope. That's our goal, to be the best, to be the first, and be the biggest. But the reality of it is that when we talk about pure and true decentralization, this is what this is all about. What we're doing is something that some little guy in Brazil or in Latvia somewhere is going to say, hey, we can do what Cirus is doing, and they're going to do it, and that's great. God bless them, because the reality of it is that our platform, every person on the internet needs to be on our platform or one like it. There is no other option. If you think about it, why would you not want to be paid for your data? It's inconceivable that you wouldn't want to be paid for your data, and that you can control your data, you can do all that kind of stuff. So that's the reality. This is a movement that is going to change everything.
Wow.
Daniel, guys,
Impressive.
you are so inspiring that we receive more and more questions every minute from the community everywhere.
Right.
And let's address few questions. But before that, let me pay attention to all those who are watching us right now and will be watching in recording. The whitelisting has started already, and it is in its hottest phase right now. So you have the links in the chat and in the description of this video. You can go through these links, make whitelist, make KYC, and apply to participate to be one of the first to get Cirus tokens. And we have a cool question from Tribal War Stuff in the chat. You could say that Google, Facebook, etc. already use our data for free. Is there a way to block data going to them? And as they would be sort of competitor to Cirus in regards to data monetization.
Well, I think that the reality of it is that yes, they're taking it for free, and they can choose to pay you. That will have an impact on their valuation, but they could choose to pay you. But this is all about getting onto the platform, right? And so from our standpoint, when we put an ISP in your home, you're on our platform. And we are the first big data platform, if you will, that you're working with. And so you can come up with your own first party data, you come up with your own insights, you come up with your own value prop with those insights. So yes, there'll be competition. We invite competition, but we will have a voice in the marketplace, and we'll certainly be able to monetize the data that you own, which will be more valuable than what Google is doing with that data.
Great. Yeah, thank you very much for this explanation, and allow me to maybe deep dive a bit in the process. So how exactly this all will be executed? As far as I understood, you want to develop a sort of a marketplace of data marketplace, right? Where data buyers buy directly from data sellers, and you are the data seller with the router, and the token plays an important role in this marketplace, right?
Yes, absolutely. And Michael, you want to take the tokenomic side of things, but just prior to throwing it to Michael, what we're doing is no different than any other big data platform. We build a big data platform and we plug into the data markets that are buying the data. So we have data buyers lined up to buy our data, and so I can go a little deeper in how we will do this in terms of the extrapolation of data. versus the other way that we can monetize data. But before maybe digging too deep into that, maybe I'll throw it to Michael and he can talk a little bit about the tokenomics side of things and from a crypto perspective and take it out of big data and get into crypto, because after all, this is a crypto-centric conversation.
But I mean, there is one very important difference to other big data or the data selling platform. On other data selling platforms, there is no user who get the money back, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Very important.
As I said earlier, I believe that this is a revolution that's going to change big data. So they're going to have to change, right? They're going to have to respond. They're going to have to do the very things that we're doing, because maybe they do it in a different way, maybe they do it in a unique way. But we have some proprietary ways to monetize the data. Correlation versus extrapolation, we can get into that deeper if you'd like. It's getting really techie now into big data, but I think that might be not what the call should be focused on, because we are into the crypto world here. So maybe Michael, you can talk a little bit about the tokenomics and how we really look at this as an add-on to the crypto world, as opposed to just big data. Although I'd love to talk about big data, you can tell.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, please, about tokenomics and also token use case. People in the chat, Stefan and others are asking also about this right now.
Yeah, well,
good.
Look,
Michael, take over.
Yeah, all right. Daniel's got a few coffees today.
No. By the way, I haven't had no coffee yet, so.
No. No, see, this is the thing. I've been in the industry with crypto and blockchain for quite some time. I've always tried to think about adoption first concepts, right? I've helped pioneer stable currencies and something called branded stable currencies in the past, and we always try to think about how do we attract the users, right? Data is no different than another asset. The asset that we can actually be the most proprietary to people. So from an onboarding perspective, here's how it happens. The first thing will happen there's two sides. We get a router, gets deployed into your house, the internet service provider provides it to you. You'll open it up, you'll scan a QR code with your phone. As soon as you do that, it takes you through an onboarding experience, right? You sign an end user license agreement. So we make sure that people know exactly what they're signing up for, that there's privacy protection, that we abide by all the rules of GDPR and everything that is to the region. And then as soon as they activate, they actually now have created a crypto wallet. So they didn't even really know, but they've actually deployed a crypto wallet right in their hand, which is through this onboarding experience. That's really step number two. And that solves one of the biggest adoption factors that we're looking for in the crypto world, is wallet adoption, right? So as soon as they do that, they set the provisions of what they want to share. So because we want to empower people, we're not just taking everything. The idea is that they have full access and control. They can turn on which devices in their house, which apps, which browsing histories, all those different things. They set the provisions. And then they start on step number three, they earn right from day one. We connect their data assets to DMP DSP, which is what Daniel was referring to. So the idea is that they could sell into marketplaces that are external. And then once they receive the revenue from that, we pay them in the Cirus token. So the Cirus token goes directly back into the wallet. The great part about this is where we take this a step further, is that now they just don't have value that they've created, which we call a term called found money, because we think that this is something that is that they didn't have to really truly work for. They created it inherently, and now they can take that asset into the digital economy. So they can, right from their wallet, they can insert that into a DeFi application. They could insert that into staking. They can even create something that is what we call data NFT. And that allows people to basically build a history of all the collection of data assets that they were able to compound over a period of time. So what we do is we now allow them to now involve themselves in the digital era. And this is a really important point, because this is happening now. And this is something that we're putting a lot of the world out of the realm of getting into the digital era because they don't have access. So we're solving a huge problem here from the crypto side of things, which is access. And if we can give somebody their data asset into a crypto wallet, we're solving what's called adoption. And then this is a bankable asset. This is a bankable asset that you can now take into newfound freedoms. And this is the first time that somebody may be able to access traditional markets, access finance. And so this is something that's really core to what we do. The Cirus platform now is a secondary aspect because that supercharges everything. We can now take that data asset, We can reinsert that back into the ecosystem. And the more times they do that, they will increase their earning potential on the data revenue that they receive in the real world for the time that comes forward. So what does that mean? So the idea would be that if you could take that data asset, you could reinsert that. So you show that you're a network participant, you show that you're staking, you show that you're putting into some form of DeFi. The idea that it means you create a multiple on your data asset. So the idea is that even if you would earn 1.0 right now, in a few months you'll earn 2.0 and 3.0 based on the data asset that you could receive because you've shown your participation in the ownership economy. So there's a lot of variables here. The token itself, we can talk about the utility because the actual utility is required for the device. The device itself needs a nominal amount of Cirus tokens to turn on. So it's actually signaled to the network so that this is an anti-spam mechanism. It's not that any device will be able to just earn income. So that's really core. So the more devices we deploy, the more demand there will be for the token because that will be taken out of supply. That will actually be absorbed out of the open market as well. So we have a direct demand function for the token. We also use that token as a bridge mechanism. So that can go into other assets as well, other stable currencies as well. So we'll transport through the Cirus token. We obviously support node creation and rewards. So your mining token will be the Cirus token as well. So it's a whole host of different things that we're building right now for the Cirus token. We want to be as holistic as possible, but we also really wanted to tie to the business model because we show direct demand to the function of the token. It's kind of a long-winded answer, but that's really what we want to invite for the users.
Well, that was a very detailed answer, and I hope that right now it became much more clear for everyone who is watching us and everyone who is following Cirus. What is it all about? But can you tell me in very primitive words for the person like me who is working like 20 hours per day in the internet, yeah, using all the possible browsers, website chats, etc. How much I will be able to earn on monetizing my data through Cirus?
Yeah, Daniel, you have some metrics here, and then we can talk about the blockchain side too.
Pitch that to the big data guy.
Yeah. You'd be surprised to know. Well, maybe you wouldn't be surprised to know, Nelly, that it's a big industry. If you look at the valuations of these big data companies, I think one's over $1 trillion in valuation. So there's hundreds of billions of dollars that is being generated actually quarterly in big data. So if we break that down individually, you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of dollars per year that you'll be able to earn onto the Cirus platform, and $500, $600, and as we sort of roll out and understand that this whole connected world is going to expand. Most people talk about IoT adoption, IoT, Internet of Things, where you're going to have IoT devices connected to the Wi-Fi router. In fact, some studies suggest there'll be 15 IoT devices connected to your router in the next 5 years. And what do I say by IoT devices? What does that mean? Well, for example, it's a smart refrigerator. So we're going to know when you start running out of eggs and where your egg supplier is and all these sort of things. So all those will add to your earning power. And this is just the beginning. There's so many things that we can do once we get you into our ecosystem. It's going to be exciting, the number of opportunities you can to expand your earning power with that passive income or that found money that you're sitting there leaving right now to the oligarchs. We're going to take that and give that back to you and show you how to really with very direct ways to increase your earning potential on our ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I learned new words, data oligarchs. It's really cool.
Yeah. The guys give me a bad time about that, but if you read all the articles, data is a new oil, right? Well, if data is new oil, then it kind of fits itself into a phraseology there.
That is true. We were talking with few data marketplaces, and they were saying that there are more companies who want to buy data than those who are selling data. So it's actually the best time to bring this project to the market.
Yeah.
No question.
Just on the point of even earning potential as well, there's two points I want to make. The average, when we've looked at all the data assets that you've just in a primitive form right now, we think anywhere up to $45, $50 per household would be just a traditional data revenue model based on what you can earn from this. the great part about it, because we're using the cutting edge technology, which is blockchain, insert into this, your earning potential actually increases. So we're not just paying $45, $50, especially in a emerging market. That's a lot of money for somebody, you know, $550 to $600 in a year. But the great part about it is that we could take a data asset, you could remove friction from it, you increase its liquidity, and you enhance its perceived value. So the best part about it is that on a traditional side, that's what we're allowing as revenue flow to come into the system. But as it enters the system, and now we're able to now create a token from this and actually tokenize them into the digital economy, their earning potential goes up tremendously. And we don't know even directly the absolute ceiling. We don't know exactly like that. You look at comparisons like Helium, you know, started at 10 cents up to $18. There's a lot of things that people can earn from the system by being not just a data revenue share, but also having direct input to the network. So this is something that's really pivotal, but it's a lot of value for a big part of the world who never had access to that.
Yeah. Thank you for the explanation. What I found very interesting is the concept of data NFT. Could you please elaborate a bit more about the data NFT and how it connects also with your token? Because this will be different entities, right?
Yeah. I can take a quick stab if that works. So we looked at the NFT space generally in a sense, and we see some flaws, and there's something that isn't necessarily, we think is going to evolve. And this is the next evolution of NFTs from static NFTs is something called dynamic NFTs. And so dynamic NFTs is something that we will be working with. What that means is that information on that NFT card could be, it could actually be repropagated, the information. So the idea is it's not just fixed, it could actually change and it can alter, which is called dynamic. And so now if we take that principle and we bring that into the data space, which is really cool, is that we could say that every block of data that you stored to the blockchain and then you created a value, a wealth of value, we could actually record that onto your NFT, which is your principal NFT, and we could make a list of it. So we can actually create multiple different hashes and multiple different keys that sign to these blocks of data. So now you have 100 different stores of data in your personal, in your actual information cloud that actually now is showing you as a valued participant in the data economy. So we call this a compounded effect. So now they could take this data NFT, they could go into a different third-party market outside of our experience. So this is really cool because we can now allow that user to go into another third-party NFT marketplace and say, look, I've got this data that's compounded over the past 3 years. What is this worth? And they can actually be able to create permissions to allow other advertisers and research participants to now access that information on their own choice. And that's something that's really cool because we're taking an NFT and we're allowing the user to be able to participate with that. And it's a digital form of themselves. That's really, if the most simplest way to explain it is that data NFT will be a digital proxy of oneself. And that also goes into another section, which is called digital identity, because if we can show that there's a history of data to that individual, we can also form some form of identity, which can allow them to get into finance. And that's another entry point that we could really, really focus on. So that principle where we'll be working with a few companies that have oracles. You know, I don't want to name the few companies, but the idea will be that that will be supporting the data NFT. Yep.
Cool, really cool. So there is so much use cases, right? For the data NFT especially, and the main point that what I loved about Cirus that you have the platform. So you have the base ground, you have the router, and on the router you build up the software components, especially the blockchain component, right? This is important. So you don't start from the ground. Not just a vision; it's already in latest execution stage. It's important.
Exactly.
And data NFT, so you can also tell about this like earning royalties, right? If I sell my data NFT, it's kind of royalties what I can earn for my data, right? It's
yeah, because the user still has access to it. They always have access to their data. We create those data blocks, and they can always share that permission. Now they can share that into the third-party worlds. So that is like a royalty because they're not just able to sell it at the instance of value to the data, but they could sell it in the future. And that is carried with them. And that's what's cool because they carry that proxy of data all the way through this experience.
Yeah, and I think an important thing to touch on there too is like the user is at the focus of everything we do. So when we don't want to lock them just into the Cirus platform. That's not our intention at all. As many earning opportunities as they have, we want to make sure that they have bridges into those ecosystems as well and really empower them. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, the idea here is to use data as an on-ramp.
Yeah.
Right. So, for the first time, here's an asset that was always technically yours, but now it's really yours. And you can use this to kind of bounce around within the digital economy.
Cool.
Just last little point on the NFT to give that a little bit of a big data understanding is that your data today is worth X. It's being sold today as we speak right now. There's going to be Google is sending me an ad saying, hey, why don't you get onto ScaleSwap? Well, I'm already on ScaleSwap. So there's immediacy. There's immediacy to online advertising right now, and that's the beauty of online advertising. It's very direct. It's very instant, and it's scary in some ways. But the data NFT aspect is that the stored of that information, all that stuff that you've been doing for a long period of time, that's also valuable a year from now, or 2 years from now, or 3 years from now, for what your insights are. And so this is creating a whole new market in big data. This is a whole new idea that advertisers can say, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I absolutely would want to know that this person has shopped and bought this detergent for over years and years and years. Now that becomes a value prop to someone else trying to advertise to that consumer. So that's the idea of data NFT. It's a little bit complicated, but it opens up a whole new universe for data monetization possibilities.
Yeah, please go on with your question.
No, because I think we have 7 minutes left, and I just wanted to ask. So what's the progress on the blockchain part of your development? So
Yeah, I could jump in there. It was really good because that's why we're focusing with building with ScaleSwap, and we're coming into the Ethereum layer 2. So the idea is we're building on this standard because we know it's the most tried and tested network. Ethereum's here. It's not going anywhere. It's proven over the past of the history. We understand there's compatibility, there's longevity, there's security, and now we have a solution which is scalability. So we look at all these factors. We take the lead in the category of tech which we want to build on. We're not recreating the wheel. And so we're supporting the Ethereum layer 2. That's why we're working with ScaleSwap, not just for the IDO, but for the long term. And we're going to be working on forming path payments or payment systems to the data revenue that we share to the users using the solution. So the network right now that we'll be building on will be announced, I guess, effectively tomorrow.
Less than 24 hours.
Yeah, so we'll be working on that, and then we'll be able to drive ecosystem value at every level. This is something called a fat protocol thesis. So we'll start with the network layer. We'll invite staking mechanisms. We'll invite node creations, validations, and then we'll be building up to and evolve into the data layer that sits on top of everything. And that will transcribe information to the blockchain. That will write information metadata to the blockchain. So we actually show authenticity and provenance to the rightful owner of the data. So we use blockchain for many components here. And that's where we are at the stage for development. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much on this. So next week, right? Next week is the event. And the preparation are there from your side, from our side. I think our communities, of course, all over the world, and they not look on our AMA live. They will look at later, even nights and tomorrow. But step by step, they will understand and see how professional the team is. The goal of the team, and most importantly, that there is a base of technology already there for me.
Yeah, and the next 2 weeks, I just want to, from the marketing side, I got to give it back to the community. I want to, thank the ScaleSwap community, Cirus community, just for supporting us and getting us to this point. We know that without community, especially in blockchain, you don't really have much. And we've been lucky to have the community we do have. And the next 2 weeks are going to be very exciting, but it's just the beginning. So just want to get everybody excited for that.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a very good point. So guys, those who will be watching this, thank you for your support, and don't stop on this. So I'm not only talking about whitelisting, but don't continue to support Cirus in cross-posting, in messaging, and spreading the word around. If you want this dream of data ownership to come true and your order to be delivered by Christmas time, then you please support this with resources that you have, and everyone can make reposts or something like this in order to share this support. So guys, thank you. Rana, time runs so fast with you. You are an amazing team, and we will do our best to support you from Scaleswap side and make it all success and see the new tech giant, new unicorn born in the nearest months.
We're gonna call it from now on. But no more unicorns, only goats.
Thank you, Nelly, Stan, ScaleSwap team. We really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. It's a pleasure and honor to work with you guys. It really is.
Yeah.
Thank you. Honor for us as well. And let's kick it.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
Slogan for the future. Let's kick it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much who was watching us. Don't forget to put like under this video and repost, share with your followers. Thank you guys, and have an amazing afternoon.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much.